Hello and welcome to another episode of the United Daily. I'm Ben and welcome along to All for United. If you're watching this on any other platform that isn't YouTube, you are missing out on all the fun in the live chat. You can comment on the show as we speak about absolutely anything. You can tell us you disagree, tell us why you disagree. You can tell us you agree, tell us why you agree, or have your own say, your own personal thoughts in the live chat, please. YouTube.com/All for United is where you can do that. I've titled this video actually off the back of something that Barry put in a private chat. And it's not often that he puts something useful in our private chat. So I like this one. He asked a question earlier on. Is tonight's game a dead rubber? That's what we're going to discuss. Stu made a really good point on the preview show last night. Real Sociedad got a great result at the weekend. They played really, really well from all accounts. So could it be they're third in the league, that they also look at tonight's game as an opportunity to offer time to other players within the squad? Or do they feel like they can still prove a point and claw back that scoreline? 4-0 in aggregate. Barry, Neil, thank you for joining me again. Alexandra Jonson, La Liga reporter and journalist, thank you for joining us again. Where should we start, Alex? Should we start with what went wrong last week? Because you massively made me, Neil, Barry, and a load of United fans anxious in the lead up to kick off. Barry even nearly put a bet on, and he's blooming happy. No, sorry, Neil nearly put a bet on, and he's happy that he didn't. What went wrong? We saw that inexperience and that mindset. As soon as they went 2-0 down, you could just tell from the way that they approached the game was over.
Yeah, and I think it started a little bit in the warm-up because they got Aritz Elustondo injured during the warm-up, which I think was the third Europa League match in a row where they got a key player injured during the warm-up. So that's not the best start. And that was one of the most important players for the defense for Real Sociedad, and that's obviously where they were really, really flawed in this match. So that was one problem that started already going into the match. But I think in general, what really happened was that because La Liga at the moment, La Liga is, I'm someone who always try to praise La Liga and think it sometimes deserves more credit than it gets. But at the moment, La Liga is not where it used to be a few years ago. Barcelona, Real Madrid, and even Atletico are not that in that, especially this season with Barcelona and Real Madrid, they're just not that good in that sense. So I think for Real Sociedad, it was a little bit of a wake-up call in a way, because as I talked about during the last show, that they have had some draws, some defeats during the season. It's not been pitch perfect, but in every single match they played, they've been dominating. They've been in control. Even when they played the big three in La Liga, and even if they've lost some of the games against them, they've won some of the games against them as well. They still had control at some parts of the game, and they've been in it. And this was the first time, I think, for this season and last season for this Real Sociedad side, where they felt they were never really in control, and they weren't even close to being in control. And I think that got to their minds as well, because we didn't see, there's two things to this. One thing is that Manchester United was just on another level. There's no way to come around that Manchester United is on another level. The other thing was that this was not the best Real Sociedad. We have seen the things we've seen them do. This was nowhere close to that. And I think they were just caught off guard a bit, and then they didn't really know how to get back into it. And they also approached the game in a way that is very much this Real Sociedad, which is bravery. They are brave and they play with confidence, and that's what's made them so successful in Spain and in other matches in Europe as well, even though they haven't, again, scored that many goals because they create all the chances, but they've not been very efficient in Europe especially. So the results might not look fantastic, but if you look at the matches, they've been quite dominant there as well. So that's the approach that has worked for them, to just go out there.
Yeah,
be brave and show the confidence. And when you face a team as good as Manchester United, who has those qualities, that can be the completely wrong approach, and that showed that it really was.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I thought we approached the game brilliantly. We sort of said that we had an unexpected quantity in Real Sociedad in front of us. It depended what Real Sociedad side turned up, but I agree with you. I think United bullishly took away that braveness and that confidence from Sociedad and really hurt them every time we went forward, every time we had the ball. We did, and I can't say this often about United, I thought we looked a couple of levels above Sociedad, which was fantastic to see because they're battling for those European places in La Liga. And I know there's a real quality shift at the moment in Spanish football, but I do feel like they're a good team, very good team on their day, could give anyone trouble. And United made sure that Sociedad were not going to give them trouble. And I think it was a really mature performance. And the exact performance we haven't seen enough this season. Barry, we heard there from Alex on Sociedad's performance. For you, what about United last week? It was one of our best performances of the season, that wasn't it?
It was indeed. I have to say, like you said, when we chatted with Alex before the game, she struck the fear of God into me. I thought that we would be in for a really difficult game. And to be quite honest, with the exception of our game against Southampton, it's probably the most comfortable game we've had all season, which makes a pleasant change that at halftime you can kind of relax. And everything clicked for United on the evening. I think we could have won by twice that margin. Everybody played well. They played with confidence. They played with pace. There was creativity. And, Sociedad are the type of team that will let you play. They didn't park the bus. They came at United, and that was, I think, their Achilles heel, because we tended to pick them off, especially in the second half. So it turned into a pretty easy game at the end of the day, or at the end of the night, I should say. And, one would hope that a 4-goal lead is adequate to see us through to the next round. But, of course, stranger things have happened in years gone by.
Yeah, stranger things have happened, and we're gonna talk more about the game tonight in just a second. But Neil, just going back to last week's performance for you, we saw a team there, a United team that, as Barry said, was fast, confident with the ball. We were also brave with it, which was really, really good to see. When it comes down to it, we also had a tough game at the weekend. For you, do you think there will be a slight European hangover after tonight for looking ahead to Chelsea? For you tonight, do you think the most important thing is coming out of the game unscathed with that confidence intact?
They've got to come out of the game with no injuries, a clean sheet, and that's it. Just concentrate on getting a clean sheet, and we're through anyway. Come on, even weak, our bizarre defence won't give up 4 goals. Like I said before the show, I think Barry and I could play up front, and that we'd still do enough work. Mind you, I'd probably fail the drug test with all the medication I take, so that could be a problem. But no, we're through. But one thing I took away from last week, and this is a slightly different angle, I haven't spoke to you two about it. It's obviously Spanish football's going through a transition, shall we say, and a lot of money's gone out of the game because of the COVID issue. And it does seem that the only league that seems to be surviving is the Premier League, and the power of the Premier League. And if you look at all the competitions out there, the only team that could stop a clean sweep of English clubs winning all the European trophies is probably Bayern Munich. And I think that's something to worry about further down the line. If you just get one league that just becomes absolutely dominant in terms of on the European level, and I think that's something that needs to be at least thought about moving forward.
Yeah, because we were looking at this as a tricky time. I'm looking at La Liga now, Alex, and maybe you can give us a bit of background around what's happening within Spanish football at the moment. You've got Atletico, obviously top of La Liga, but it's really struggled against Chelsea the other night. You've got Real Madrid in second, you've got Barca third, then you've got Sevilla, you've got Real Sociedad, you've got Villarreal. In terms of where Real Sociedad are within that league, is there any chance whatsoever that tonight they might go, do you know what, 4-0 isn't savable? Let's put out some fringe players and let's focus on the weekend's game?
For sure, because they've actually kept David Silva and Iramendi in San Sebastian, so they're not even traveling for the match. And that's for tactical reasons. And Imanol even said in his press conference that they don't think that they can swing the result. For them, it's about going there and show that they're a better side than they showed in the first game, and basically keep their pride a little bit. And because they are a really, really good team. Like everything that I said last week, it's still the same. This is a really, really good team with a really bright future ahead of them. And to be honest, when I've been thinking about during this week is that I actually think possibility that the game against United, the 4-0 defeat, could turn out to be something really positive for them. because it's a challenge and lessons that they learn from that match that they at the moment really can't learn in La Liga. As I told you before, that they've been in even matches where if they've lost or drawn, it's been because they haven't been efficient enough in front of the goal. It's not been because they've not been the best team on the pitch. And they're still very, very young. I can't stress that enough. But what stands out with this team is that they have so many players that in the normal circumstances, being in a team of the size of Real Sociedad and having the talent that they have, they would pretty soon, already this summer, probably be sold off to different clubs. But this is a very special club where a lot of these players who are youth team players, they just want to play for Real Sociedad. So they don't have, few of them will probably at one point or another leave, but there's a lot of them that likely won't. And that gives Real Sociedad a very unique opportunity for a more long-term plan with this team and trying to build something. And with that in mind, I think that the match last week can be a really, really good learning lesson for them of how to face bigger opponents and more difficult, that maybe we have to find another way to play when we face someone who is on another level from us, because if we go all out the way we do in normal matches, like we saw against United, that doesn't work. So I think in the long run, that match is probably a really good learning experience for them. And I think they're going to look at this match a little bit like that as well, that going to a big stadium like Old Trafford with all the history that has. And that's big for some of these players to get to go there and play there and just use this as a learning experience of learning how to play against a big team and also to just show. Again, I think the most important for them in this match is not to turn the result around, because I don't think that they believe that they can. If they end up scoring early on, maybe that belief is going to come and it's just going to go on. But it's really, really difficult situations. I think for them, it's just about going there and kind of show Europe and anyone who's watching that we're not that team that you saw last week. We can do a lot better than that.
We're not pushovers. We can still make a game of it, because it's still a big stage that they're playing on. We'll come back and hear from you in a second, some of the fringe players or the younger players that you think we should watch out for tonight, if that's okay with you, Alex. But first of all, Barry, interesting there to hear from Alex that we may not just see a massively rotated United 11, we could see a hugely rotated Real Sociedad 11 as well, which makes for an even more fun game, that there's so many players who are going to be on that pitch who have a point to prove, who want to play football, who want to get in their first teams. Are you expecting the same from United tonight? You're expecting a rotated 11? And if so, a couple of players you bring in, a couple of players who you don't want to see anywhere near Old Trafford?
Yeah, look, there are a couple of players I don't want to see anywhere near Old Trafford that I'm seeing on a weekly basis. So I don't want to go down that avenue. But I would expect that Ollie will make wholesale changes tonight. 7, 8 or 9 changes tonight, I would expect. And I would expect the instruction to be, don't ship in a couple of early goals, because we have been known on more than one occasion this season to concede early goals. If Sociedad score a couple of early goals, of course, that gives them some belief. But I think we will see wholesale changes tonight. I'd like to get to see a couple of the youngsters that he's given little cameo appearances to. But I'm expecting a massive change in the side. If I'm Sociedad, I'm saying to my players, go out there and go for it, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm with you on the early goal. That was my thinking earlier on. I had a little stumble in my mind that was like, oh no, what if they score in the first 5 minutes? Because that gives you confidence, especially at a place like Old Trafford. Give you some confidence. Sure. And as we've said, Sociedad are an unknown quantity, and especially if you've got players out on that pitch who are there to prove a point, and they're against players who don't necessarily get in a team, get in teams all the time. And also, we're not hitting on this. United, when we need to control the game and see it out, is that when we're at our most vulnerable. We've proven time after time we can't do that with this current squad. So, with a heavy, even with our first 11, with our heavy rotated 11, I'm still on the fence. But no, I'm not trying to say that there's still a game to be played here. But, if we go 1-0 down early, if a player gets sent off, if we concede another goal, you just don't know. Football is a crazy game. Neil, put this on your shoulders now. You're just thinking about, God, what if the worst does happen tonight? Are you also like Barry? It won't. Okay. If like Barry, you're expecting to see a highly rotated 11, are there a few players you want to see come in?
Yeah, I want to see want to see him pick a side with the Chelsea game in mind, to be honest, because I think this tie's over and done with. Obviously, Henderson will play in goal, should be in goal every week, but I've already said that on previous shows. I'd like to see Maguire sat down for a bit. Tuanzebe should get a game. Tellez would obviously play. I'd like to see Wan-Bissaka sat down. He might play through at the back, but it doesn't really matter. This tie's over and done with. If we lose this tie, then they sack the manager, within 10 minutes of the final whistle. I'm assuming he'll make a substitution in about the 82nd minute, even though I got proper stitched up last week on the time.
No. Barry will back me up here. You didn't get stitched up. You were wrong.
Yeah, I got stitched up because we slaughtered them. No, I got stitched up by Alex. No, I got stitched up by Alex because Alex said they were good. So I kept thinking, well, he'll do his usual 3 subs in the last 4 minutes. As it turned out, they were muck. And we absolutely buried him. And then he started making substitutions like a normal manager. I couldn't believe it. It's all Alex's fault.
Me and Barry were right.
It's Alex's fault. No.
Always blame the guest. Neil, you're not meant to blame the guest. We want the guest to come back on.
Well, I can't be wrong. It's got to be someone else. Julie,
again, what do we go back to, Neil? We go back that the person to blame, if no one else is in the wrong, is Barry. #blame Barry. That's what we have to do.
We should get that running. But Alex did make me jump on Betfred and pile onto Sociedad. But anyway, this tie's over with. We got to pick a team with the Chelsea. You'll get your time, Barry. Don't you worry. This tie's over with. We got to pick a team with the Chelsea game in mind. Go on, Barry. Barry, why don't you change it? Why don't you change your background again? We've had 2 different backgrounds in 10 minutes from you. Feels like a picture.
Neil, will you let me know when you are going to stop speaking garbage, please?
Yeah, 20 minutes after you, my friend.
Well,
there we go. Perfect. It's good to know that we're all in agreement ahead of tonight. Loads of people sounded off in the chat with #blame Barry already. Hello to Worldwide Red Show, who's on with us. Hope you're good, mate. Hello to Jamie, Alexander, Jacob, Mr. Gray. God, that's a name. Hello to Mark as well. Guys, come and sound off in the live chat. We'll give you a shout out and make sure you subscribe to All for United as well. Alex, some of those younger fringe Real Sociedad players who we may see tonight, who should Neil be biting his fingernails over, because this tie, there's still all to play for?
Well, the big one at the moment is without a doubt my countryman Alexander Isak, who he scored a hat-trick this weekend, and he's been scoring I think it's 6 or 7 games in a row in the Liga now. He has 9 goals in 6 matches, I think it is. And is in an incredible form. And the thing is that, again, it comes down to the efficiency, that had he has been a little bit more efficient this season, he would be up with Luis Suarez at the top of the Pichichi League in La Liga, of the top scorers. He's been that good in his movement, in creating chances, and now he's starting to scoring them as well. So he's one to really look out for if he gets the chances. In the first match, I think he got 1 chance in the opening minutes, and had he scored that, it would probably have been a little bit different with the confidence and everything that Real Sociedad plays so much on. But if he gets the chances, he's going to score goals. He's right now the big talk in entire Spain. Everyone is talking about him. So he's one to look out for, and he's only 21 years old. And so that's the main one. But the one that for me is perhaps the most special talent of all of them in Real Sociedad is the youngest one, which is Ander Barrenechea, who just turned 19 years old in December. He made his first team debut when he was 16 and scored on Real Madrid when he was 17. And he's extremely good. He's one really special player. It's one of those that when he was in the youth academy of Real Sociedad, everyone you talk with in San Sebastian were they saying already since he was 12 years old, everyone has been talking about him because he's that good. He's not been getting to play that much for his age, has to be said, with the rotations that do. But the problem is that he has the same position, more or less, as Miguel Oyarzabal. So it's very difficult for him to get into to the starting lineup regularly or at his position. He normally gets to play on the right wing instead on the left, where he's really, really good because Oyarzabal is there. But today it's a big possibility that they will actually rest Oyarzabal and leave him on the bench, and that Ander Barrenechea will go in and be on the left wing. And this is a kid that, had he been playing for Manchester United or for Barcelona or for Real Madrid, the entire world would be talking about him as a super talent and one of the biggest talents in world football right now. That's how good he is on a good night. But he's playing for a smaller club. So it's basically the Real Sociedad fans who are the ones who are the most aware of just how good he is. And he's going on in this rotation system, so he's not playing that much that the rest of the world have really got up the notes for him. But he's a very, very, very special talent that we will hear a lot about in the future. And the good thing for Real Sociedad is that he loves the club, and his idea is to retire at the club. He's already saying that at 19, and he signed a contract for 6 years. So they have something really, really special and really good in that kid.
Yeah, sounds good. And talking about kids, we get on to Amad Diallo, Galbraith, and Shura Terry, who are all in the Europa League squad. So we'll get on to those in a minute from a United point of view. First of all, though, Neil, the big talking point, I think, ahead of the game tonight, what can we blame Barry for? Ship Art is in the comments and going in. Blame Barry for City winning 19 games in a row. Yeah, can we blame Barry for United losing to Sheffield United, West Brom, and Everton? Well, we drew against West Brom, didn't we? But Neil, we can blame Barry for that, can't we?
Yeah,
I think we can. Also, earlier on today, I made myself some scrambled eggs on toast, and I dropped an egg, and it went all over the floor. That was Barry's fault. Wasn't my fault. That was Barry's fault. So if anyone wants to blame Barry at All for United, let us know what you've got, and we'll read some out next week and have a chuckle over them. Barry, by the way, if Amad Diallo doesn't start tonight, it's your fault. But still, what do you think about Amad Diallo? Do you think he will start tonight? Do you think we see Galbraith? Do you think we see Terry?
Having watched Diallo in his couple of appearances for the under-23s, he looked fabulous. In that little cameo when he came on, he also looked good. So I would love to see him start, but I don't think we will. I think he'll see how the game is going. If we are able to keep a clean sheet for the first 20 minutes or so, we'll hopefully see these guys introduced later in the game. But he looks terrific, and I'd like to see him given a chance tonight. He gave Shoretire a very brief appearance the other day. Would like to see something of him as well. So I do think we will get to see them. Whether they'll be in the starting lineup or not, your guess is good as mine. If they're not in the starting lineup, I'd blame Neil.
If not, blame Neil, of course. You two love blaming each other, don't you? You're like a married couple. Neil, let me come over to you. Amad Diallo, Shura Terry, Galbraith, will we see any of them in the starting lineup? By the way, I'd love to know who wears the trousers in that relationship. Can I just say, I would just love
Barry would definitely be my bitch, though, I'll tell you that for now. But anyway...
Listen, this is getting a bit out of hand.
So many jokes, Ben, but it's just so little time I've got for that. I mean, it's 1:30. I can't go where I want to go with that.
Right,
anyway,
then tell us about Amad Diallo and Shura Terry and Galbraith.
I think they should get at least half a game. I'm not sure he'll start with them, just because I think he might just say, right, okay, first 20 minutes, don't make any stupid mistakes, don't put any pressure on the youngsters, and at half time, that's when I'd expect. That's when I'd hope to see the youngsters. So I'll be very surprised if he starts with them. But yeah, they do look pretty special. Diallo looks a bargain, to be honest, at the moment. But I'm quite interested to ask Alex: does Sociedad, because they're on this big stage, are they worried about European giants, so to speak, coming in and nicking their and going after their youth players, because they've had a good history of bringing some players through?
To be honest, not too much, because it's you have to really understand Real Sociedad to understand this, but it's a very special place, Gipuzkoa, where they're from, San Sebastian, because if you basically have to go there to really, really truly understand it, but everything there is about Real Sociedad. They have this slogan as well, or motto, that I don't have a second team. Because in Spain, in most parts of Spain, after the team, your local team, you support Barca or Real Madrid. But in Gipuzkoa, that's not the case. Everything is about Real Sociedad. If you go in San Sebastian on the street, I've been there so many times. And there's not been a single time I've been out walking and I haven't seen kids in Real Sociedad gear. And there also hasn't been a time I've been walking there and I've seen kids in Barcelona or Real Madrid shirts. So it's very, very, very big on identity in San Sebastian. And it's actually the club in Spain that historically has the most one-club men. So they have this, it's very strong with a lot of these kids coming up through the youth ranks that they want to play for Real Sociedad, and that's the big dream. And now as well, when the team is playing in Europe and things like that, it's even more attractive. We had a player a few years ago, Xabi Prieto, who Liverpool tried to sign. Real Sociedad were relegated from La Liga and had a really great offer from Liverpool, and he told them no. Stayed 2 seasons in the second division with Real Sociedad, brought them back up to La Liga and played his entire career in the club. And a lot of these kids, they grew up having him as their biggest idol. And now the younger generation have Oyarzabal as their biggest idol. And it's to do with how good they are at football, but also that they care so much about the club. So a lot of these players, which is very, very special and very privileged situation for Real Sociedad, they know that it will be they will be needed a lot for them to leave, even if it's top offers. Where there is a little bit more worry, perhaps, is those players that they have signed, like Alexander Isak that I was talking about before, who is not from San Sebastian, who sees Real Sociedad as a stepping stone. You have other players like Mikel Merino, who probably won't be there forever either, and so on. It's more those players and Porto, who are key players for this team as well, but they are not from San Sebastian. And there as well, I was talking right now when it comes to Alexander Isak, there is a lot of rumors in Spain that Barcelona wants to sign him, especially after his hat-trick show in the weekend. And everyone is talking about that. And I was talking to a local journalist in San Sebastian just yesterday. I was like, what's your view on that rumor? And this is a guy who, if you ask anyone, he's the journalist to talk to when it comes to Real Sociedad. He knows everything, and I just knows the players and everything. And I asked him about that rumor, and he just laughed at me and said, with what money are they going to throw hot dogs at us for buying him? That's not going to happen. And he said that Isak is going to stay until he's 23 because this is such a good development place. He's smart. He's going to stay until he's 23, and then he's going to leave like a butterfly. So I've
always thought Isak might be the person that Dortmund tout as a Haaland replacement potentially next summer. And that'd be the perfect stepping stone, wouldn't it, for him? He's a young player. He can go there and develop even further.
Yeah, so he was at Dortmund before, and he actually Real Sociedad signed him from there. So they have a buyback clause, which means they can buy him for 30 million euros, while his otherwise it's 70. So that's talk about that, of course. But the thing there is that Isak didn't have a good time when he was in Dortmund. So the question is if he would like to stay in a place where he's really enjoying having a great time, which is also Real Sociedad are really known, especially in Spain, for being extremely good at developing the players. Even when they're in the first team, it's not like they stop thinking about the development. That's still number one focus. It's not winning, it's not the results, it's helping the players develop. So for a player like Isak, it's the perfect place to be. So the question is if he wants to go back to Dortmund and be there for 1 year as a stepping stone and then go somewhere else, or if it's just better for him to stay one more season at Real Sociedad and then from there go to a bigger club. But in general, I don't think Real Sociedad is too worried, just because it's such a special club where many of those players, that's where they want to be simply.
Yeah, they've got that Athletic Bilbao sort of, affiliation with the players, and it just, they don't regularly lose players. I think it was a shock when Herrera obviously came to United and players leave Athletic. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I just want to hit on one thing that's currently breaking online to mention for any football fan out there. Be interested in this. By the looks of it, the delayed Euro 2020 tournament, so Euro 2021. There's reports coming out that it's very likely that the tournament is going to be hosted in England. So we'll hear more on that potentially mid-April on a decision, but they will not be able to do the tournament like originally planned in all different places around Europe. Potentially, the whole tournament's going to be staged in England. So we'll wait and we'll see.
Barry's fault then. That'll be Barry's fault.
I nearly then said
the rest of the year is missing out because of Barry. Oh
my God, who is it? Barry from the Sit It Bang advert. I don't know if you've seen that, Alex, but that's just what came straight to mind. Blame Barry. Right, before we come back to you, Alex, and get your thoughts on how the second leg will go tonight. guys, get in the live chat. I want predicted starting 11s. I'm going to try and forge a team together with Barry and Neil quickly. So, guys, I take it we'll both go. We'll all go Henderson in goal, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then are we expecting to see Williams in for Wan-Bissaka and Tellez in for Shaw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then what about the centre backs? Does Maguire get a rest? Do
Yeah,
Bailly
he better
and
do.
Tuanzebe start, or what happens there? Barry, let me come to you first.
I would reckon Bailly and Tuanzebe, provided they fit.
Neil?
Exactly the same, unfortunately.
Perfect.
I don't like agreeing with you.
Yeah, you do. Secretly, you do. And Barry always smirks more when you agree with him. I've seen it then. It's a loving look. What about our two midfielders? I think Matic and Fred are the only two fit. So I think they've got to start them now. I don't think we've got any opportunity to rotate them. So I think it's going to have to be Matic and Fred in the middle of the park. And then the behind the front three, Bruno to stay at home. You want Mata in tonight.
Yeah, just put your slippers on, Bruno.
Yeah, Mata in.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Front three then. Go on, Neil. You go first.
Oh, well, Barry's favourite, Martial, will probably play. I'd sit Rashford. Just trying to work it out now. Greenwood will start. Martial. He might spring a surprise and put Diallo in, and possibly then play those as a front three. And that's a possibility. I'm just trying to get my head around who else he could play up top.
Dan
Maybe
James. Does
one of the
Dan
others.
James continue?
Dan James, who's been
will
playing pretty well. So it could be James, Greenwood, Martial up top.
Because I'm not expecting to see James actually start against Chelsea. I think he'll go with three at the back and the front too. So I think potentially tonight, Dan James gets to shout, although he's played a lot of football recently. So me personally, Barry, I don't know if you agree. Like Neil said, I'm thinking James, Greenwood, and Anthony Martial.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Ben, because Neil, when he gave his front three, didn't say Dan James. So I'll go along with your front three. Yeah.
That's just Neil being wrong again, though. And that happens quite often.
Yeah.
Once a show.
Once a show. Just once a day. Once a show. That's fine. No, I like that. But guys, in terms of who plays number 9 then, does Martial play 9 or does Greenwood play 9?
Martial.
Martial.
Interesting. I think he might go James off the left, Greenwood on the right, and Martial through the middle. Yeah.
Why did you nearly say Grealish? I thought you were going to say Grealish then.
Well, Barry would hope. Alex, that's
God.
the United team that we think we're going to be putting out tonight. You said earlier on that you think Sociedad are going to change slightly. I won't ask you for a full 11, but how do you think the Sociedad will do against that United side? Haven't played together before, or many times at least. The partnerships aren't there, but still a squad of good players. What are you expecting from Sociedad tonight? And do you think they can come out with a bit of credit? Do you think they can get a win at Old Trafford?
I don't think they can turn the tire around. I think that's basically impossible. But I don't think it's impossible that they could turn out, come there and actually win, or at least get a draw. Like I said, it is a very good team, and if there's on a good day, if they have the confidence, if they get a goal early on, we're going to see a different Real Sociedad than we saw in the first match, because again they play so much on confidence. So that is what's the key for them. And as soon as if they lose a little bit of that confidence and that they feel that they don't have a chance, then they're not going to have one either. But the interesting thing is obviously going to be to see the players that are starting, and there is going to be it's going to be a younger team for sure, starting 11 than the one last time. So maybe that inexperience is going to be a problem again. And I'm a little bit afraid of how Imanol is going ahead, the coach. Going into this, he was very criticized for that approach in the first match, and believing that they could just play like they do against Deportivo Alaves or so, like against Manchester United as well, which obviously isn't the case. But for me, I think this match is for Real Sociedad about keeping that pride and showing that they're a really, really good side, and that people should take note. And I hope and think that they can do that tonight. And for me, it's not, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get away with a win. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't either. But I would be really surprised if they turn it around completely. I don't think anyone is seeing that happening.
Sorry, Alex, I thought you cut slightly. I thought you'd ended. Sorry to butt in on you. What do you think the score's going to be then?
It's so hard because it can really go either way in
Barry
my
wants
mind right
Neil,
now.
Neil wants to put on another bet, Alex. He nearly did last week and wasted some of his money. Give him something to put some money on.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
Just don't say 4-0 Sociedad. Whatever you do.
5-0. No.
Don't say that, please don't, because you know that if in some magic world that did happen, that would be clipped up and it'd be an I told you so moment. I said 5-0. See, what do you think tonight?
It's going to be 5-0.
It's going to be 5-0 Sociedad. Well, Alex, I love your confidence. I love it. Barry, what do you think?
3-1 to United.
Nice. Neil?
2-0.
2-0. Lovely. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. Alex, thank you so much for coming on and telling us all about Real Sociedad over the last couple of weeks. It's been a pleasure having your company. And sorry that you've had to put up with Neil and Barry. That's, I suppose, the only slight downfall of these streams. But Barry's fault. Barry's fault, of course it is. Please, Alex, if anything ever goes wrong over the next couple of days, just tweet with the hashtag Barry's wrong. Barry's fault. That would make my week. Right, guys, thank you for watching. Back tomorrow with the United Daily. We're going to get out of here now. Enjoy the game tonight. Peace.